What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the NAV Lab. Today we have our guest, Gavin Monjaras, second episode featuring one of our top agents, someone who's really helped me with real estate over the years, mentored me, been in the industry a long time. Gavin, how's it going?
It's good to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about it every week.
I know. We should do it more.
Yeah.
Get more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So how's things going? How's business? I know you just had a couple closings. You got a couple people under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little surprising for some people in the industry right now. Business is very slow.
Sure.
The market in general is very slow, in my opinion. Or I guess not my opinion. It definitely is slow, even compared to last year. I think the interesting data point is that last year this time home values were falling a couple percentage. This year home values are still increasing, even though the amount of inventory is increasing, which is a little confusing, I think. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the market right now?
You know, it's always so predictable here. Other than the COVID year, it's always very predictable in Colorado. And so I'm glad you brought that up about last year. Last year seemed very similar to this year. But at the same time, there weren't a lot of people buying. There just wasn't a lot going on last October, November, December.
Yeah.
Very slow. Whereas this year, I keep hearing it's slow. However, a lot of my leads or our clients are making that decision to buy or to buy and sell in some cases. So it does seem like people are more willing to purchase this year and take that leap.
Yeah.
Whereas last year it was a waiting game, and a lot of those clients ended up purchasing in January, February, March.
Yeah.
So
cool. So,
it's active out there right now.
Yeah, I keep telling everyone, if it's a very nice house, it still goes very fast. If it's a condo downtown or not a very nice house, it's not going very fast.
True.
For some reason, the condo market is just slow right now. But anything, a single family home, even in like the $500K price point too, like it really doesn't matter. They're still flying off the shelf because there's so many buyers that's all they can afford right now in the rate environment. So it's making our lowest price point disappear very quickly, I think.
Sure.
So what sort of conversations are you having with your buyers right now? Maybe someone who's on the fence. How are you coaching them?
The fact that you brought up that price range, what I'm seeing is, and what I've had happen with a few clients, we always have, there's a wide spectrum of buyers, right? Some $500,000 clients have a couple $100,000 they can put down. Okay, others don't. And the ones that don't are always in a tough position, because what happens is you go to look at a home that's listed at $550,000. If that home gets multiple offers, someone that doesn't have the ability to have an appraisal gap or 20% down and have those luxuries, right, to put in the offer, most of the time they're not going to be competitive and they're going to lose.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed in the last couple of months is the homes that are coming to market, the ones that are nice and desirable, they're selling quickly, multiple offers. One conversation I had with my most recent client, who was a buy-sell, they didn't have a lot of cash. Okay, they didn't have, we really couldn't do anything to be competitive in a multiple offer situation. We knew that, and they were pretty discouraged. And I met him out at a showing, and we looked at a $500,000 house in Lakewood, and it was garbage. Okay, I mean, it needed everything. It hadn't been updated since like 1960. And I call the agent, we got 5 offers already. We're $50,000 above list price. And so that's very discouraging for a client to hear that. And one of the things that I mentioned to them is that over the past couple of months, I've seen a lot of homes that have been on the market for 90 days or 100 days that were really nice. And I said, maybe we need to shift gears a little bit, okay? In order to get a contingent offer accepted, it's going to have to be something that's been sitting for a seller to take that. So we changed gears, and within about 3 days, we had them under contract on a home that was nicer than anything we had looked at. So, I mean, they were beyond excited. Then came obviously the stress of selling their house. They had seen a neighbor list their house that had been listed for 24 days when we went live.
Yeah.
And they're going, there's no way we're going to sell this thing. We think it's worth 400 to 405,000. But this home's been sitting over here for 424 and hasn't sold. Yeah. And so we came up with a pricing strategy. We went ahead and listed for 390, and we got 5 offers the first day, and we were under contract Friday night. Wow. For 403.
Yeah.
So there's a way to go out there and get your market value or your home's value. Okay, it's not necessarily pricing it that way, right? You have to price it below. You have to have multiple people interested in your house.
Yeah.
Drive that price up a little bit. Can't take the risk of getting one offer, because if you have one offer, then you may have 0 if they decide to terminate, and then now you're stuck. So.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack there. I think the way you're guiding clients is exactly the right way. And one thing that I'm doing, I've met a few new clients recently. Everyone is hesitant because of rates and things like that. But I've been explaining that, besides rate, which is a big deal, for the most part, buyers are getting a very pleasant experience through their buy right now, because they're able to do their inspection, appraisal. They're not having to compete a lot of times. I think still, depending on the area, 20% of homes are going for over asking, which is still quite a bit with the most recent market data. But I'm even coaching people of if you're looking at say 550, let's look at homes 575 and under, because there are going to be these homes that have started listed at 600K or listed too high, or just didn't sell for one reason or another, that are dropping in price that you're going to be able to get for 550. And that is a conversation that I haven't had in a very long time. Yeah. And maybe they don't find out the perfect home that way, right? Because I do think, I have some buyers right now that they want the perfect house, and I get it for sure. They want to check all 10 boxes, and what happens is the homes that hit the market that are perfect are also perfect for a lot of people. And even though the market's slower right now, there's still a line of people out the door. We just saw a house the other day, 525 in Lakewood. I thought the home was priced low. I was like, this agent did a good job. Yeah. They priced it way low. There's probably going to be a lot of people interested. And we saw it first day. They're like, yes, let's make an offer, yada, yada. They have this perception now of we can offer under list, that sort of thing. It's one day on the market, right? And I call the agent, and they have 5 offers, and they're way over list price, yada yada. And these buyers have been on the fence for a little bit because they started looking in March of last year. We've offered on a ton of properties, but every week we've offered on the nicest home on the market. Right. And every week, if you consistently try to buy the nicest home in the market, I get it, but there are going to be a lot of people wanting to buy that house. Sure. And similar to your buyers, they don't have the ability to offer, unlimited appraisal gap or waive their inspection, or they're not putting $250,000 down or cash or something. Right. So not being the strongest buyers, it's very difficult and has become very discouraging for them to purchase a property. And I keep telling them hey, you guys want to buy? There are a lot of homes on the market right now that you can get for a steal. You can get concessions. We can get, $25,000 to do a 3-2-1 buy down, right? Yeah. Have your interest rate be 3 percentage points lower for the first year. But they still keep going for the nicest home on the market, and which is totally fine, but they have to be prepared to compete. Right. And when you add competition in with the high rate environment we're in right now, that's tough. Yeah. Sure. So you help them sell. So were you coaching them the whole time and just on pricing and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's I never like to talk at my clients. I like to show it to them in a way that they can feel it and understand it, so that I don't have to tell them. Yeah. So if I can make them comfortable with obviously that 390 list price, I mean, that would stress anybody out. Anybody who thinks their home's worth 400,000 and they're looking at their neighbor who can't sell, thinking, "Oh my God, the market's terrible right now for sellers." Well, in some scenarios it is. If you price your home high, it's going to be an awful market and a really bad experience for you. But if you price the home correctly, obviously that's, it's the ability to, like I said, show it to them so that they can understand it, and they can understand the strategy and then the result based off of that. And if they get a good feel for that and they trust you, it's easy. If not, it can be tough. But one of the things that you were talking about is, the homes that have been sitting for a while, and I mentioned this before too. I've seen a lot of really good homes, and a lot of the homes that have been sitting on the market for 90 days were the nicest home in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, the listing agent or seller priced them as if it was March of last year. It was funny, I actually went and did a little research project on one of them, because I walked through this house and I was shocked. Like, how is this thing not under contract? It had been on the market like 127 days, and it is spotless. Good neighborhood. I mean, the finishes were perfect. The space, location, everything about it was perfect. I'm going, what the hell happened here? Well, they started off at 900,000, and currently it was listed for 750 or 775.
Okay.
So I went back and pulled comps on that house from March of last year to see, okay, well, let's see what this home would have sold for in March of last year, right? And the comps were right all over 850 to 900. So I'm thinking this seller is still trying to hold on to the fact that March of last year was so amazing. You had 15, 20 offers on every property, 100,000 above list price. They were still trying to hold on to that price. And here we are 127 days later, they're all the way down to 775 at this point. And this home, for all intents and purposes, is an $850,000 house. They just, if they had priced it originally at 800,000, it probably would have went for above list price.
Yeah.
Okay, so we put this home under contract at 755, so 20,000 less than list price, and it appraises at 815. So you can find really nice houses and the nicest homes in the neighborhood that have been sitting. They've just been handled poorly by the listing agent or the seller, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
So there's some really good deals out there right now.
Really good deals out there. I keep finding them that I like. I'm like, man, I want to buy a house. I just bought a condo investment property.
Yep.
And I have a really high interest rate, but I got a stellar deal.
There's some really good condo deals out there right now.
Renters in there, I'm cash flowing, so I'm happy.
Yep.
Especially in the condo world, like you said, there's some good condo deals. But one thing I'll mention is, I had a listing. Then I started talking with the seller like January, February last year, right? I was really driving home like, hey, let's list in March, April, looking at comps, yada, yada. And I'm going to take the blame on this for sure, but I'm going to put a little blame on them too for like dragging their feet. Sure. And not getting the home on the market when I advised them to, right. and how I told them to price, and the comps I ran, and how it made sense. If we would have listed March 15th at our original goal, I think their expectations would have been met and exceeded. But I came up with the price of $750 for this house.
Okay.
Over in by James Bible Park, just in the DTC area. Mm-hmm. And back to the park, nice house, not updated though. Had a mother-in-law suite in the basement and a walkout separate entrance to the basement. That was really cool. So I knew for the right buyer, like, this house is super sweet. You could rent out the basement, Airbnb the basement, something like that. And location-wise was awesome. But so I thought it was worth about $750. And I was advising them, hey, let's list like $740. Like there's comps in the neighborhood up to $900K. Okay. And
this was in March, right?
In March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So things have changed a little bit, right?
Things changed. So here comes April. We're still not on the market. The house, like 5 doors down, lists for I think like $900, and sells for like 950. So we don't list the whole time. I think we ended up listing like the last week of April, but I called and I found out. That's what it was. I called and I found out what they were under contract for.
Right.
So 50,000 over the list price. They went down. They walked through, went through the open house, whatever. Fully gutted, remodeled house, right?
Model home.
Super nice. Like, it was sick. And now they're like, oh, we can sell for 850, at least. And that's where they wanted to list. And I'm just like, guys, like, and by this time it's nearing the end of April. We're getting close to going on the market, but they have a husband and wife living there. They have 2 giant dogs living there. They have 2 kids living in the basement. They have chicken coop in the yard. They are not vacating the house,
right,
for showings, right?
Yeah.
And the house is quirky. It's got a lot going on. I didn't get into the negatives of the property. And I'm advised, at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, you decide what we list for. That's how it works. My advice to you, my job is to advise you, right? Is we need to list this home a little bit lower than what it's worth, because I think it will generate multiple offers, and we very well could get much higher than where we list it.
Sure.
Anyway, we go on the market $790, so I think we're about $40,000 over list price. We get like 10 showings first weekend.
Not bad.
Not one single phone call. Monday comes around, I call everyone that showed. No one liked it. No one had positive feedback, right? So everyone said it was priced too high. Every single person. Right. And I'm having this conversations. I'm like, yeah, probably. I didn't say that, but I'm just thinking that the whole time.
Right.
And so having conversation with my seller, like, I'm learning a lot as I'm going through this, right? Just on having these conversations. They're steadfast. They still think they priced it low, right? So next weekend we don't have a showing. Next weekend we don't have a showing. Next weekend we don't have a showing. I have open houses. I'm marketing the place. I'm running ads. I'm doing all the things to get eyes on the property, and they still think it's priced low. Month goes by, right? So we go from having a bunch of showings to nothing. So now I'm starting to have the conversation of like, hey, it's the end of May now. Market's slowing down a little bit.
Rates ticked up a little bit.
Rates are going higher.
Yeah.
Yep. And they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear anything about a price reduction, right? Maybe we should pull the home off the market. Okay. If that's what you guys want to do, I definitely think you can sell it. My thought from the beginning was the home was worth around $750. We had a little bit of a disagreement there. So we do drop the price. Then we start, offering concessions for things. Then we go in. So the master bedroom had the master bathroom in the bedroom. There was no wall in between the bath. You're in bed and you can see the shower, the sink, everything.
I feel like I saw this house. But
yeah,
there's another one similar.
Yeah. So we have a contractor come in and put a wall and a door in the master, right? Which a lot of the feedback we had gotten was the master bedroom is quirky, didn't like it. So we changed it, right? They spent a couple $1,000s on that, and now, in their mind, the home value is increased, right? Not that we've just helped people justify our current price. So it was a whole thing. We ended up selling for $740. Yeah. So less than what I thought it was going to go for, and we sold in the month of August. So it sat on the market for a while. And honestly, the buyer that saw it was like our only showing for like a month and a half, right? And just I followed up like crazy, started working out the deal, but kind of behind the scenes, and it was a tough one, but I learned a lot, and it just kind of drives home, that initial conversation of like, you can come prepared with the data and show a client almost every time of like, hey, look at these properties that sold very quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
They sold quickly. They sold for over asking every time.
Yep.
And where did they price? Where were the comps, right? So you take a property, you show them the comps like you did,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why did this home sit like this? Why did this home sell quickly? And it's always pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's always going to be market factors, always going to be seasonal things. But just like you having a listing recently, you wouldn't think, just looking at the numbers in our market, that it's going to sell for over list price and very quickly. But you priced it right, and you sold it for the value that you thought,
right,
or $3,000 more than what you thought it was worth. And at the end of the day, like I said, the seller decides what they sell their house for. It's your job to advise them, and it sucks a lot of times if it doesn't sell from the listing side, especially with our market the last few years, because most of the time you just throw the home on the market and it goes. So I think that's going to be a shift for agents in our market for the next couple of years, probably, is you got to do more than just input it in the MLS.
Yeah, I mean, we've been such a seller's market for so long. I think people inherently believe that a seller is worried or concerned about that sale much more than a real estate agent is. I think that's kind of a common thought. And what I can tell you is when I'm listing a home and you're going through that week and you don't have a single showing, I mean, I'm quite certain I'm much more stressed out than that seller is, right? Because, I mean, we've been such a seller's market for so long. It's so easy to sell a home. Everybody thinks it's so easy. When realistically, it takes, obviously, there's some skill sets that you need to have, and obviously pricing a home correctly. And if you don't know how to price a home, it's going to be very stressful on every transaction, right? But yeah, and sometimes I feel for you, no matter what you present, or how many different strategies or examples you can give them, and they still sometimes make the wrong decision, and there's just nothing you can do about it. And I think I feel more comfortable in those circumstances rather than when they did go off of what I presented them, and then you don't have a showing. That's even more stressful.
Right.
And those cases are obviously more few and far between around here, but yeah, it's tough, man. You miss the mark on price, and it's going to cost you around here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the moral of the story.
Yeah, that's definitely worst case scenario when you're like, hey, the home's worth $750. Let's price like $730, and we'll get multiple offers. We'll drive up the price, yada yada, and then that doesn't happen. That's a horrible situation to be in.
Well, and another thing about that too, you mentioned you had 10 showings the first weekend, right? Should have sold if it's priced right.
Right. Yeah. I think we actually had more than 10, to be honest. I think it was like 14 the first weekend.
So my feeling when I have 10, I always talk about, okay, if 10 out of 10 people walk through here, what do I want them to feel? Right. And so one of the things that I usually talk to with my sellers is we need to make sure and price this so that 10 out of 10 people are walking out the door going, man, that's a good deal. Okay. And if they're all feeling that way, then we're going to get more than one offer, and we're going to get it above list price, right? The market's going to tell you what the home's worth. Okay. But if you have 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 walking out going, it's overpriced, that may be just enough for that home to sit in the market. And especially right now, it takes more showings to get an offer. It takes 16 showings right now to get an offer, whereas on average we're usually around 10.
Yeah.
And if your location, size, and condition is good, then it takes you only 4 or 5 sometimes in some cases. So right now we're on the higher end of that. So we need to make sure that the 10 people that do walk through the door are walking out thinking, man, this is a smoking deal. We need to make a move. Right. Then once you have 2 or 3 people that actually do submit, well, then your negotiation comes in, right? Again, that's where you need the skill set that goes beyond just handing them 3 offers and saying which one looks the best. Okay, you're constantly negotiating with those 3 offers and leveraging them against themselves. And of course, there's a fine line there too. You have to be very careful, right? But that's where you need an agent that does have a skill set to negotiate. Not, oh no, I can't tell you anything. I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you can if you can negotiate.
Right. I to despise agents who say things like that.
But every call is that same way.
I
I just laugh every time. I almost like start giggling when they tell me that. It's like, I don't know. I just don't know where that comes from. I guess it's just the old way of doing things and the old mentality that you don't have to be a salesman to be in real estate. I mean,
right. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's like, do you not want to make your client more money? Do you not want to exceed their expectations?
Right.
I hate that. I had a bunch of listings last year. And it kind of all started about this time last year, or about a year ago. And I had these sellers who like wanted to sell, and I was kind of coaching them on like, hey, can you wait till the spring? You'll have a much better experience. So I had some listings go live last November that didn't sell till the first week of January.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an interesting experience too, because it definitely was slow. It was like the first time rates jumped up last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had like 850 homes total on the market in the month of December.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of competition. The other side of this was both homes were very undesirable.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Both had to do some price reductions to make a sell. I learned some invaluable skills of negotiating, of playing that game of like, we just dropped the price, we have a few interested buyers, which we did, but like, who's going to offer? Are they going to offer something desirable? Are they going to try to get a screaming deal?
Sure.
And really that sales skill set with that buyer's agent. And I've definitely been on the buyer side more often than not throughout my career. It's just in the past few years have I started doing a lot more listings.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had another listing go on the market in January, and it was like just a little too early. Like a home, like the seller called me later on after we'd already sold a home that listed like a few weeks later, got top dollar. They got everything.
Yep.
Like after we were under contract, and I was like, I tried to tell you, you can't say that to them, but like I did. I was like, wait till the weekend after the Super Bowl typically is when things take off.
Yep.
That's what I coach everyone on. If you're going to wait till then, let's do it. It's going to save you money.
Yeah.
Or make you money, right? On this investment. And then I had another listing that listed like, I think like March 20th. And he won't mind me talking about him, but he's so I do jiu-jitsu. While my fingers are taped up right now. I've messed up my hand, but
you lose at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. No matter if you win, you still lose. And the black belt at the gym had me list his father's townhome, and we started talking about it like half a year to a year before it went on the market, and it was very low pressure. I really like this guy. We're friends. I look up to him. I definitely look up to him, and I wanted to help him in the right way, and I knew he had some time, and he did everything by the book, like how I told him to do it. I was like, I think your place is worth like 610. I think we list under that. Let's list it at 559. Let's go on the market Wednesday at midnight. I think we listed like March 10th or something. There was homes on the market in the neighborhood that listed in the winter. They were just getting nothing, right? Yep. And I called all those agents. I did my homework. Like, they all listed too high. Yep. They all were still higher than where I wanted to list. And we got like 12 offers. Thursday, just a flood of showings. We did everything right. I had him make the repairs he needed to make, clean the place up, painted, new carpet, and then boom. We didn't stage it. Just a townhome over in like kind of North Glen area. There's some really nice. It's on a golf course up there, Badlands Golf Course.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got 12 offers and just had cash, right? Like 30-some thousand above list price, closed in 2 weeks. And he loves me now, right? like he liked me before, but now he's like,
jiu-jitsu guy. That's not the person you want to be on the on the other side of the spectrum with.
He's the most dangerous man I've ever met in my life. He drives a Harley. He's a coach for wrestling coach at Pomona High School. They win the state 4A every year. Great guy. And just, it's just the difference between the two experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Literally listing, a month and a half difference in time.
Sure.
Both very desirable properties, similar price points. But it really just goes to speak to like our market, and it is seasonal. And it really always has been. I think during COVID, we kind of got thrown off, and a lot of agents' expectations got thrown off because it never slowed down.
No, it was like 12 months of hell.
Yeah. I mean, it was the best year. I mean, 2021, like I made more money than I've ever made. I did more deals than I've ever done. Yeah. It was hard, every transaction was difficult in that we had so many buyers. Like if you had a listing, like, good God, just put it on the market and like watch your seller get $100,000.
Sit around in your sweatpants at home.
Yeah. I worked so many days in like a dress shirt and like athletic shorts, just like from my desk at home. But yeah, and I think we're like coming back to reality. Obviously, there's things going on, in the big picture economy right now, and with inflation and being in a recession and just all of that, but we're still, home values are still going up in Denver. Like it is what it is.
Well, I mean, it's kind of all, you can kind of correlate it all. I mean, if you think about the stock market during COVID, right? Obviously, there's one side of the spectrum where small businesses are really stressed, and so a lot of people were dealing with hardship in those years. But when you looked at, the stock market, I think some people's portfolios probably grew. I mean, most people who are in that area probably grew their portfolios more than they ever have.
Right.
And so with the economy the way it is, I think housing is similar. I could compare like people who are consistently going to keep renting rather than making that decision to purchase are the same people that are not in the stock market.
Yeah.
Right? They're not making those decisions and taking those steps to start increasing or acquiring wealth. I think you can kind of all correlate that. I mean, most of my buyers right now, the interest rates are high, and it's definitely important when it comes to what can I afford as far as a monthly payment. But the decision to purchase over renting is still an easy one for a smart investor, right? So I think that, it's very similar to people that sit on the sidelines for a lot of things, or the economy or whatever it is. I think it's the same in the real estate business. But again, there are people out there looking to buy right now, and they're getting great deals.
For sure.
So,
two things you made me think of there.
Sure.
Like if you can afford to buy right now, it is a great time to buy. But you have to be able to pay that payment and that interest rate for however long, right? It could be 6 months. It could be 6 years. Like we don't know, right? Like I 100% in my gut believe that interest rates are going to go down and you're going to be able to refi. That's the advice I'm giving people. But you still have to make a decision on like, am I going to be house poor for however, and it could be an indefinite amount of time. What if something emergency comes up and your credit score gets killed and then you can't refinance, right? Like you have to make that decision.
Well, and that's always a risk though, right?
For sure. Always a risk. But the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately too is like when interest rates go down, it's going to boom. Because this happened last year, right? Like we had buyers buying, rates went up, buyers paused, right? Everyone's on the fence, I'm waiting till spring, yada yada. Rates got better, right? In the new year, in the spring, market went ham, right?
Jumped
like
off the fence.
10 or 15 offers on every property, $100,000 over list price. So now
$300,000 over list price.
Yeah,
anything was on the table.
Insanity
during that 3
right?
months.
Giving your kidney to the seller if you had to, right? But that's what's going to happen again.
I know.
And it's going to be even worse, I think, because people have started getting on the fence in like June, July this year.
Yeah.
So it's just backlogging. People moving here, people having kids, people needing a bigger house. They're all ready. They all want to go. But they're waiting. They're just waiting. And if interest rates drop 1%, I guarantee you our market is going to go ham.
Bloodbath is the word that keeps coming into mind whenever I think about it. It's going to be just like March of 2022.
Yeah.
When it happens.
I think the nice thing of what will happen is, and what is happening, is a lot of agents are getting out of the industry.
Sure.
Or they're coming to places like here, right? Where
Yep.
we have this opportunity for someone who doesn't have a book of business, a
Yeah.
referral business with our Zillow leads.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to still meet people like our agents. Like, it's so funny. I had a conversation, this was probably like in the spring, and this agent was like, yeah, it's been a tough year, you know, it's been really hard out there. And I'm like, no, no, it hasn't. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Right.
you know, like he basically was like, yeah, since last August, it's been tough. I was like, dude, I've closed like 20 deals since then.
Right.
Like, and our agents on our team are in the same boat, right? Yeah, some people are slower, but most people are fueling their business and out there crushing it. I mean,
slow is a choice. I
you
mean,
just had 2
for us-
closings, you got 2 more under contract. Like, it's
Yeah, it's very, I mean, the pace of my business right now is no different than it was back in January, February, March. You know, typically I'm, you know, focused on a couple of different things right now. And one is mentoring new agents, right? But yeah, 3 to 4 deals a month right now is similar to what I was doing back then. Nothing's really changed for me. But I've consciously and intentionally done that by claiming leads, meeting people, you know, getting opportunities. So, and obviously that has a lot to do with our option that we have here, our choice, you know, to work somewhere where we have a platform to do that.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine how scary it is out there for the agent that doesn't have any
Seriously
leads. I don't know what I would do. I'd probably be getting another job.
Think about that often, you know. And I think in today's industry, like real estate industry, like you have to work somewhere that provides leads, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you can work somewhere that has Zillow leads that close at 10%, and you know you can have 10 interactions and get 1 closing, and not spend 10 hours to get 1 closing, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, because your average closing check is 10 grand plus. Why wouldn't everyone do that? You know what I mean? Or close at more than 10%, close at 30%, and claim 10 leads and close 3 of those people, right? And continually fuel your business and build a referral book of business over time, right? It seems like such a no-brainer, but a lot of people, you know, I met with someone 2 days ago that they actually just joined us, but they were trained to call foreclosures and the foreclosure list, right? That's the only way they were trained to run a real estate business. And in 3 years they had 2 closings. And
makes sense considering our low rate of foreclosures.
I know. I was like, what do you mean foreclosure list? Like, there's a list? Like, there's more than one? I've seen a couple recently.
It's a small list.
It's a very small list, and you're not the only person doing that. Right? Like, there are people who have referral businesses and lead businesses who also are calling that referral list or that foreclosure list, right?
There are people that have immediate relationships with the banks that have those for sale. I mean, that's really where if you're going to pursue that avenue, you want to walk directly into the bank and talk about having instant access to their foreclosures, right? And build value through those relationships. But calling through a list of foreclosures, it's like a lot like probably sending a direct mailer. Not going to get a ton of results out of that.
Yep. I mean, it's very true that the industry is changing, has changed, but the way that buyers and sellers go about getting people to help them has changed, right?
Sure.
Like, you know, like if I get a stack of things in the mail, and if it looks like it's directed to me and it's actually from someone who knows me or intentionally sent it to me as a person, then yes, I open it.
Sure.
But if it's a flyer of any kind,
No.
that's straight in the recycling bin, right? Like I think most people are like that now, right?
Yeah.
And it's even like email. You know, like, is this spam? You know,
Sure.
do I know this person? I do not. I'm not even opening it. This is going right to spam. And then if I notice they send me more than one, I'm going to the email and I'm clicking unsubscribe and never getting an email from that person again.
Yeah.
So it's more of now people, in my opinion, are seeking out versus, seeing the opportunity and grabbing a hold of it, right? Like it's they're going to Zillow, they're in control of when the agent contacts them, right? Or it's you've made a relationship with someone, right? And then they are going to come to you when they're ready, right? Like the people that I'm getting referrals from, I'm not hounding them for the referrals. I'm making it evident that I'm selling real estate. I'm good at what I do. I post a closing photo, post house tours, whatever. Social media is a way that I let them know that I'm still doing the thing. If I see them, they're going to bring it up. How's business, right? Like it comes up every time. Business is great. Yep. How's your house? Like you guys still loving it? Yada yada. Yeah. I do some things to reach out to people every now and then, but for the most part, they're coming to me. It's same with Zillow, right? They want to be in control of that versus getting hounded by everyone, all day, every day.
Well, what's the most common story you get with someone that has an agent that you're meeting on Zillow? It's, we wanted to come out and see this home, but we didn't want to bother our real estate agent.
Right.
Well, what does that really mean? It means that they don't want their real estate agent to know they're in the market because they don't want them pressuring them to buy. Right? They'd rather go out and meet a complete stranger and tell them, oh, we're just looking, they build that barrier there, rather than trying to, rationalize it with their friend who's the annoying agent that's always asking them if they want to buy or sell anything, right? They're trying to stay away from salespeople. So if you can show up and meet them and be the right salesperson, you're going to win that business all day, every day.
Yep. I've been thinking about this. I heard this on a podcast, completely irrelevant to real estate, but it makes sense in how I'm thinking about it. So, it's the difference between being charming and being charismatic, right? So, if you're charming, you kind of go to them, right? You deliver your charm and you earn people's business that way, right? If you're charismatic, people come to you, right? You're just like, you're gravity. You bring people in. And yes, there's things happening in the background that allow people to get to you. But I think that's real estate business in a nutshell. Is in the beginning, you're being charming, you're going out, you're driving business in some way or another, but over time it's your phone ringing because people either have worked with you before or they heard what a great job you do, and that's how I've been thinking about my business of and it's almost ebb and flowing of yes, for a certain point of the year, my phone just blows up with people who are interested in buying and selling. Not everyone can buy or whatever, but I'm getting a ton of referrals. This time of year, it's not happening. Other factors, market things, seasonality, but now I'm having to go get it, which is plugging into the Zillow system or doing more follow-up, staying top of mind, that sort of thing. But the point I was making earlier is the way that agents are and should go about it has drastically changed. And if you're not staying relevant in not just to your client, but relevant in the practice of real estate, someone else is going to be, and they're going to get your business.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned from Zillow is because of the number of people that I've met that ended up using me that already had agents, that they neglected to reach out to, and they just came and met me for 30 minutes. It made me realize how perfect and how sharp I had to be on every one of those appointments to make sure that I have the best opportunity to earn that business. So it's a really good lesson to learn, and I think that's why I've taken, so much time on, practicing and scripting and, meeting these people the first time and just not taking any shortcuts when it comes to this business, regardless of what the market looks like. Because I can assure you right now, people are, it's a lot easier for buyers. Well, it is, but, is it easy to go out and get an offer $50,000 below list price, accepted with no counter? Right? everybody, you hear all the stories. Oh yeah, you can go out. Buyers have all the leverage right now. You can get concessions. You can get under list price. You can get all this stuff, and that's true to a certain extent. But it's like, how much farther can I take it? You know, what is their real pain point of this seller? You know, how low can we take this and still present it in a way that it's going to be presented in the highest regard to that seller, that they're going to want to jump on that thing and take it, right? So, you know, I've caught myself at times with a low ball offer in hand, getting ready to send it off, and I've caught myself going, should I just not make the phone call? Should I just send it? And it's like, I know what happens if I do that. I get a counter.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't take any shortcuts, right, and I make that phone call, and sometimes it takes me 3 or 4 hours to even get in the right mindset to make that call.
Yep.
When you have to do it multiple times in a weekend, it's kind of stressful, because I'm calling and I'm giving this agent a story that I'm passionate about, right, and painting a picture for them on why we're offering lower than list price. It has nothing to do with our opinion of the value or your list price. I'm shocked it hasn't sold. But it takes time and it takes effort to call and convince this person that this offer is worthy, right? So, you know, I've always focused on not taking shortcuts for that reason. So it is really good out there. It's the best time I've ever seen for buyers. And the most occurrences of getting stuff below appraised value. Every one of my buyers is appraised above value.
Yeah.
10, 20, in some cases, 55,000 above list price. So, I mean, is it a great time to buy? I mean, if it's the right time to buy, if you can afford to buy, absolutely it is, right? There are a lot of factors that go into that. Is it the right time? So once someone decides that, yeah, I can afford to purchase, it's absolutely the best time I've ever seen to buy here.
Yep, I agree.
Since 2014.
I've been saying that for a while, since basically the end of August, because we have better inventory, and then you are finding deals. Like you said, it's not every property. There's still properties getting multiple offers, but the ability to like know your price point, like $600,000, and then literally look at homes 650 or you know, around 650 or lower, right? You know, that are theoretically 50K above your list price. Because like in the spring, like you're approved for 600, but you can't even look at homes that are priced for 600. You got to look at homes for 580, right? Because they're gonna go for 600, right? So it's like it's such like a different mindset. It's very interesting with my buyers that I've been working with since spring, because that was their mindset, and now it's just they're just confused. I mean, it's just like, what is going on? But one thing I want to bring up is like you made a really good point there, and I think the hardest part of this job isn't generating business. It's conversations with the listing agent, and that's the sale, in my opinion. Right? That's sales of real estate. Like, because to your client, you're not selling a product, right? You're selling yourself. You're selling the trust in yourself that you're going to be able to help them hit their goals. But to the listing agent, you kind of have a product now. Your client and their offer is the product. You're selling this product that is, you know, and you're not selling them. You're selling their client, right? So like you're taking this product that's really your client's, and
that at first glance is shitty.
Is awful,
50,000
right?
above
Like,
list price.
You'd never accept this, right? Like, so you've got to make that mental leap of like, if I'm going to accept this offer, how am I going to need this presented, right? How, and it's not even you. It's like, how is my seller going to want to see this, right? So there's like, it's this chain that's depending on the sale that you're going to make, right? And not only is it you're selling it to the agent, but you're giving the agent what to say. So you've got to plant your sell in their mind, so now they go and sell it for you, right? That's the name of the game. That's the skill set. That's the most difficult part, right? Because you're thinking of this from like the start of your client's wants and needs to paper to you,
Yep.
to all the mental leaps you got to make and think about, to now the listing agent who's going to be pissed most of the time. They're not happy. You've got to get past that. You've got to get them on your side, and then you've got to get them on your client's side to go pitch this to the seller. Because at the end of the day, right, like you and the listing agent, you are there to work together to bring this deal together, right? And sometimes it is they come back with a counter or whatever. Yeah. But if you're a good salesman,
right,
you're gonna sell this offer and they're gonna sign it.
Right.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
And man, there's just so many aspects. I enjoy it. I would say, sometimes I feel like I'm really good at it. Sometimes I feel like, dear God, this other agent is way better than me at it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're working with someone who's also really good, a Gavin of the world, right? And they know that that's what you're doing, and they know that this offer is dog shit.
Well, they answer the question how I would have, and I'm like, shit, that's not going to work.
Oh, I hate it. I use a tactic when I'm negotiating inspections where I'll literally go line by line. Hey, if the seller doesn't address this item, do you think your client will walk away?
Right.
No? Okay, perfect. All right, so this one, the water heater, I mean, same thing, right? You think they're going to walk? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. The whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, and I've had agents do that to me, and I'm like, oh my God. Love it. Yeah. So you gotta, it's like always evolving. You're always getting better. Like you're never going to be perfect at it, I don't think. But yeah,
you were
it's fun.
Talking about something that caught my attention. When you're talking to the other agent and you're trying to get them to go sell your offer to the client, right? My favorite thing to do is talk to them as if they already know. So my favorite thing to do is, hey, you and I both know that 30 days in, right, it's necessary to make a price drop, right? You and I know that already. Okay, obviously, a lot of times sellers may or may not know that, but you and I both know that 30 days in is probably going to, when you make a 5% price drop based on statistics, that's what you have to do to sell a house. But you and I already both know that, right? Now we're 23 days into yours, and so they're going, oh yeah, I know. Whether they know it or not, you just coach them on it. Well, now they're going to take that offer to their client and say, well, Gary, 7 more days, we're going to have to drop this price because we're not getting the number of showings that we need. So I've coached them on how to close their client, but very respectfully.
Right.
If I'm just telling them that, saying, hey, Gary, you're going to have to drop this price in 7 days. Well, that can be combative, right? But so I always tell them, you and I both know, and that's my way of coming together with them and making them feel like we're on the same team. The client's the idiot. We're on the same team here. Right? You and I both know this is how it's going to work. However, does your seller believe that, right? Well, then he goes and makes that call, and then how he's selling his seller on why they should take our offer. So that was a good point that you brought up, and one of my favorite scenarios because it works every time.
Yep. It's interesting. The last kind of point on negotiating. I've read a few books on negotiations. Mm-hmm. And it seems like the books never touch on, like, it's always like whoever the focus is in the book negotiating, they're negotiating with someone else for themselves, right? It's like, I'm buying a car, so I'm negotiating with the dealer, the sales rep or whatever, on the car, and it's me. I'm the one who can walk away. I'm the one that can say, F off, I'm not buying this, or can make offers, things like that. With real estate, it's different. Mm-hmm. Because you really shouldn't be doing, like, unless you've pre-talked to your client about it. When an agent comes to you with a negotiation, like, you need to go talk to your client, right? That's and I definitely use that as a scapegoat a lot of times. Hey, thanks so much. I need to go talk to my client. I'll get back to you, whatever. But typically, I treat the conversation of, like, if I'm going into a negotiation, if I have to go back and talk to my client, then I lost. Right? Sure. That's the way I look at it, right? So I try to make every negotiation where I'm coming in, I know what my client wants. It's hard to push your client a lot of times too on, like, hey, if they come with this, what do you think? Yada, yada. Because at the end of the day, if your client knows exactly what they want, there's no easier way to negotiate, because it's like, this is what my client wants. Go ask your seller. right? Like, and they're the one going back now.
Right. Yeah, the ball's in their court, right?
Ball's in
You
their
always wanna
court.
Keep them on their heels.
Exactly. So that's the way I always look at it. But I do think there is an element of, I mean, it's got to be more difficult because you are negotiating for someone and you're negotiating with someone who's also negotiating for someone.
Yeah.
You watched the show Suits?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Great show. You know, besides all the drama, the writers of that show and some of the negotiations they do, like, you can learn some stuff from that show.
Sure.
And you know, because they're representing clients, kind of the same thing with the you know, attorney relationship for the corporate attorneys, right?
Right.
But yeah, I maybe I shouldn't take stuff from that show. Because there's a lot of like blackmail and things going on, but
yeah.
But I think the art of negotiation is probably the most important skill set in real estate, and I think the better you are at it, the better experience your client's going to have, and the more people they're going to tell, and the more business you're going to get, and it's just like. It really is one of the most important skill sets to work on and perfect, and something that I've definitely learned from you. And I think it's funny, like in our mentorship program, our coaching program, the negotiation part of it, even with the client, like negotiating, are we working together type stuff, like is your playbook. It's not like the other mentors and coaches. It's like, what does Gavin do here?
Right.
Because he's the best at it. So that's something that I've always, you know, liked to pick your brain on. Because, you know, almost every time I think I've got a good way of doing it. And I talk to you and I'm like, okay, that's definitely better. I'm going to do it that way.
There's always another angle or perspective when it comes down to negotiation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love that, you know, like you and I both know. You know, and I learned some of that from J-Mart, you know, like he was really good at it. And, you know, even him coaching me, like he would say those things like, you and I both know many people, like he puts you in that situation of like, dude, like, should I know this? Do I know this? Like, yeah, I agree. Like, because I should know this, I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, do I know?
Yeah.
Now I do.
It's your opportunity to educate them.
Yeah.
Because most agents aren't educated.
Right.
Right? Especially most listing agents. You know, you call them, you're trying to negotiate. They don't really know anything other than how to put a sign in the yard and present offers to their seller. It's your ability to educate them, but not do it in a way that makes you come across as a dick.
Yeah.
You know, when you tell them, you and I both know, they're like, oh yeah. You know, that their ego kicks in. They're, oh yeah, I've been doing this 20 years. You're right. Yep, I know. When realistically, they probably don't know shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's there's always little subtle things that you can do to throw in there to draw that person closer to you so that they're an employee. I mean, I like to think of it, you know, when I call a listing agent, they become one of my employees that are working for me.
Yep. If
you do it right, if you're constantly in a battle with this person, you know, it's never going to work. You may get the home. Your client's not going to save any money, you know. They're not going to have any reason to go out and tell their friends, wow, you have to use Gavin. This guy's good. But if you can figure out, you know, all the aspects of building that relationship and doing it properly, that agent, they essentially work for you.
Yeah.
You know?
I know like Ryan Serhant, for example, he describes the way he does it is like you're working for the deal. Like the deal is your boss. So like you're working for the deal, the other agent's working for the deal. But I think that's a good way to think about it too, is like, because literally like you want to get them to do things for you,
sure,
right? And for your client. And,
yeah.
That's how it goes a lot of times. So just to close up here, I was like a month into real estate, and we had this script where when you call the agent, you say the same thing. I forget how I worded it exactly, but it was like
Which script?
so the like, do you have offers script.
Oh, yeah.
So after your client sees the house the first time, they say they want to make an offer. You call the agent. Very, very important phone call, in my opinion.
Sure.
This sets the tone. This is the first time you're speaking with this agent a lot of times. And you're trying to figure out where they're at with offers.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget how I worded it, but I said something along the lines of like he wouldn't give me the price
Right.
of where they're at with offers. And I said something of like, if we came in at say 10 grand over list price, would we be competitive for you guys?
Sure.
Which is a way I've still said it to this day. I don't know how I said it exactly, but the agent was like, huh, you're pretty new in real estate, aren't you? And I was like, because I was literally, I remember this, I'll never forget. I'm sitting in my car. I have the script in my hand, and I'm like, I memorized it before I made the call. I called whoever, got advice, and then I was just going through the script, right? I think I was even writing down like what he was saying. And I was like,
I'm curious
yeah.
why he asked you that
Yeah.
question. Like, was he going to tell you?
Well,
exactly?
so I was like, no, what do you mean? And he's like, well, here's how you should ask that question. And he's like, you should ask, if you come in at $10,000 over list price, are you going to be the best offer that I have? And I was like, okay, thanks. So if we come in 10,000 over list price, are we going to be your best offer? And he goes, yes, you would. And I was like, okay, perfect, thank you. And he just like coached me up right then and there.
Yeah.
Old guy,
Love
right?
it.
We actually ended up, I don't think we offered, but I'll never forget that of just like this dude, because he was one of those that was like, yeah, I've been in the industry 25 years, whatever. I could tell like he knew what was up.
Yeah.
But yeah, just coached me up right there. Like, don't ask it like that. Ask it like this. And so, like, you know, that is my tactic when an agent won't give me the price. So I'm like, hey, well, are you 25,000 over list? You're
Yeah.
not. Okay, perfect. So if we come in at 15 over list, are we going to be your best offer? We will. Great. Okay. You know, my client, they mentioned going in 10K over list. If they end up going in at 10K, we're going to be the best still? We are? Okay, cool. Nice.
The question is, what do you do when they won't tell you? Do you quit or do you keep going?
Keep going, yeah.
And then going back to some of the things that we learned from Jamar, I still use it.
Oh, yeah,
And
me too.
It works every time.
Yeah.
There was one person that complimented me, was like, wow, I love the way you did that, but I'm still not telling you. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I tried to help your seller, but nothing we can do, right?
And that's where it comes back to, right? It's like, hey, I want to make the best offer for your seller, so you got to give me something here, right? How do I go advise my client? Because otherwise, you're going to get a list price offer. Whereas we could come in and we could give you something really great.
Yeah.
And
well,
sometimes they still won't come around, which is pretty crazy.
How do buyers feel right now? They can go out and they want to offer below list price, right? I mean, if you leave it in the hands of a buyer to offer something that's good for your seller, you're screwed.
Right.
I mean, of all times in our market, this is the worst time to leave it in the mind of a buyer, right? So if you're a listing agent, you better be negotiating on your client's behalf. You're going to get a bunch of shit for your offers.
Yeah.
So I always like to equate it to it'll make them look better if I write an offer, right? A better offer. So here's what's going to happen, Bo. Okay, you won't tell me what the offer is. I get it. That's fine. Okay, but what happens if I go out and submit an offer and it's the best offer you have, right? I'm going to look like a hero to my buyer, right? He's going to be happy. Hey, everybody's got to use Gavin. He just beat 5 other agents, right? I look like a hero. Great. But the other side of the coin of this is that if you go to your seller right now and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I have another offer for you, and I actually was able to negotiate it higher than all of the other offers that I've already handed to you, are you not going to look better to your seller? Yeah. Okay. Then forget about everything else we've talked about. What do I have to put on my offer that's going to make you look better to your seller? 600,000. Boom, done. You didn't have to disclose any of the offers, which you said you couldn't do, so you didn't have to make a liar out of yourself, right? You just asked the question in a different way. What do I have to put on here to win? My client wants to win. If we do, it's going to be 100% at the closing table in 30 days. And I know that's what your seller wants, right? Yes. What do I have to put on here? Just say a number, whatever it is. Oh, and they'll sitting there like meddling over it, like thinking like there's a camera watching them or something, like they're going to get strucken down if they tell me what their highest offer is. But still, they will find a way once you put it that way. How can I make you look better to your seller? You can go back and tell them right now, I negotiated this one higher than the others. I got you an extra $5,000. And you're going to look like a hero too. So we both win. What do I have to put on here? Come on, Bo, you can tell me.
Simple as that.
Boom. There you have it. But I don't know why everybody doesn't use that.
And that's yeah. But that almost goes back to the problem of the industry, right? The agent is thinking about themselves versus the interests of their clients. Because if they were thinking about the interests of their clients, they would tell you every detail of their highest offer.
Yeah.
So you beat it, right?
Yeah.
But it's no. How have you just convinced me that I can look better to my client? Because this is about me looking good and getting more business.
Yeah.
So now that you put it that way, $600K.
I better tell this guy.
Right.
Yeah, wait a minute. He's right. All you have to do is reason with them, and ultimately they'll make the right decision if you let them, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach him to drink, right? So in most cases in this scenario, they'll end up making the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. A lot of gold in this podcast.
Thanks for having me. I know we probably talked too much, but
I'm gonna watch it back, man, because like you literally like verbatim said like what you should say for a lot of situations there.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. Thank you. Cool. We'll have Gavin on again soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.